What's up, everybody? Welcome to the RC Dirt Oval podcast with Tim. Somebody put a bounty on his late model Rothenberger. And Alfie, the king of bench racing, Adams. What's up, Tim?
Not much, man. What's going on?
Not much, buddy. You like that intro?
I did. I did not see that one coming. That's for sure.
Hey, man, it's like every week I'm having to post pictures of you with that late model in Victory Lane, man. So, you know, I think they might have to think about that. You've got that thing figured out.
Yeah, I'm still working on it, but that car rolls.
Man, I haven't. This is terrible. I got cars that have been sitting for, I think, 3 weeks now that still have dirt on the tires. I haven't even pulled the tires, cleaned them, and bagged them yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pathetic, man. Life's been crazy. So what else has been going on, man? It feels like ages since I've talked to you.
Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks since we really. I mean, we messaged back and forth here and there, but we haven't really talked. Not much. I mean, I've been doing a little racing. I've been getting ready for Birdsboro, trying to figure out what I'm going to do for as far as a concrete setup. Whether I want to take my BBE Sprint and change it, or if I just want to build an Enforcer 7, high bite,
right?
Put foams on it, go wingless. I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do yet.
Yeah, so tell me this Birdsboro. It's indoor and it's concrete. Is it smooth concrete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's smooth. They said I have never raced there. I've always known about it for years, but me not being a dirt oval guy until this year,
right?
Never went there to check it out. And Zach Cox and Mick Greenwald said, "Hey, you're coming to race with us over the winter." I was like, "Well, see what can happen with my wife shifting her work schedule around, see if she can get off Friday night so I can go." And it's working out that it's going to happen. And from what I understand, it's pretty good size, but it's concrete, and some guys use foam, some guys use rubber. We're going to do a majority rules. I think the rules that we are planning on doing now is if you're going to run a foam tire, it's going to be 17.5 wingless sprint.
Okay.
If you're running rubber, it's going to be 17.5 wing sprint.
Ooh.
So,
okay.
Mix things up. They said the guys are saying that, the first heat, don't change your setup based off of the first heat. They're saying after the first heat, once all that compound hits that concrete, he says that you'll have to have your sprint sitting really low or else you're going to get traction roll.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. So, I don't know. I got some Proline Primes and some Panther Slicks. I'm going to give it a whirl out there, see what happens. I want to try and get these new Proline inversions that are out, too.
Yeah.
The reversed
man.
positron. So, let's see what happens with those.
Yeah, here in a second, I want to talk about those just a touch more. So they're going to run sprints, and they're running Mud Boss. All right. Anything else are they going to run there?
Street stocks.
Oh, okay.
We're going to run street stocks, so I'll get the Mustang back out. And I guess they run a little EDM.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they said. I'm not 100% sure what all they're running, but they run quite a few different classes.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely going to have to make it up a Friday night. I don't know if I'll run because I'm so lazy, man, when it comes to like complete car overhauls for track changing. Dude, I hate it. I hate it. No, because I can write everything down. I'll get calipers out. I'll measure everything.
And it's never the same.
It's never the same. It never is, man. That's why I still got a carpet mud ball sitting that hasn't been touched in almost a year. Because I'm like, nah.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I don't even write anything down.
Oh, dang.
I don't write anything down. I can pretty much eyeball my setups, get them close to where I want.
Oh, man, I think I'll just ship my car up to you and just say, hey, man, put it back when we're done.
Hey, it's only 20 minutes from my house, so ship it up to me.
All right,
I'll set it up, and then come to my house. We'll drive over.
Right on.
Come back. I got a spare bedroom. You can pass out and then go home the next morning.
Boom. I'm liking this idea, man. This is getting better all the time. Well, before we dive too much deeper, I just wanted to take a brief moment and, number one, welcome in everybody who's listening and say a big thank you for everyone who is listening and sharing it and spreading the word and giving us, positive feedback. Guys, truly, it means the world to me. I know it means the world to Tim.
Yep.
I honestly did not expect it to take off as fast as it has. I've been podcasting for years, and it's usually a very slow grind. And so it's super encouraging. Definitely, my theory that there was a need for it, I think is proven true. And just, again, thank you so much. And thank you to two particular people. If you just enjoy podcasting, listening to podcasts, and general RC chat, the MBM podcast, Everything RC, hosted by Matt Housen, super fun podcast. It's a lot of general RC chat. He has a lot of good people on. It's just another fun show. He's a carpet. I hope I get this right. I don't think he's AstroTurf. I think he's carpet indoor off-road. Because he lives in Canada, so they're hurt by their weather up there. But he's been super supportive of this show, encouraged me before it was even much more than a concept. So I just wanted to, if you like podcasts, check him out. And then the other one is Tim Smith of the TSR podcast. Same goes to him. He's been encouraging, kind words. So just had to say thank you to those two guys, and thank you to everybody who's listening and spreading the word. Okay, so as Tim knows, and the everybody listening is going to get to know, I put down show notes, and if I see something that's just out there on the net or whatever, I'll jot it down on my phone and compile them. And then before we do a show, I go through, delete stuff that's junk, and then send it over to Tim. So we got a rough outline. So first thing on my list that caught my eye probably about 2 weeks ago was that A-Main is now a Custom Works dealer. Did you see that?
I did. I got the email from them, I think.
Yeah.
That they were a Custom Works dealer.
Yeah, I got the email and I was like, check out the latest or whatever their normal crap is. And I opened it up and it was, there was an Outlaw 3 like right on the front. And I was like, dang, Custom Works, go ahead, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think that dirt oval on our East Coast over here is starting to explode.
Yeah, I would say you're 100% right on that.
I mean, because you have A-Main carrying Custom Works. They haven't done, the Motorama is one of the largest RC events in Pennsylvania, and they haven't done dirt oval ever since I've been going there, since I was like 7 years old. They've never done it.
Yeah.
I mean, Rick Cox is telling me back in the day, they used to do it back in the 80s.
Okay.
And now this year is the first year that they're doing a Mud Boss only class.
Yeah. That's part of the Northeast Mud Boss tour, right? I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah, those cats travel, man.
Yes, they do.
I don't know
they're all over the place,
dude. I don't know if they're like most of their like core guys are retired or what. Because I'd see them up in like real far north, like up like Connecticut area, way upstate New York, and then the next thing I know, they're down by me in Virginia. And this was this summer, and I'm going, my gosh, wish I could do it, man, because I would be all over it. But I can't make that schedule like those guys do. But so. Motorama, right? I think it's middle of February, like the 18th, 17th, something like that, right?
Yeah. It's usually the first or second weekend of February, right after the Sportsman show.
Okay.
And the farm show.
So now I know, and you're a Pennsylvania native, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they have been doing RC off-road there, correct?
Yes. They have an A-scale track. and the 10 scale track.
Right now, at
And
least for the
demo
East.
derby and crawlers.
Oh, wow. Now for the East Coast, that's like a big stop, right? Like this is a big race for
Yep.
off-road.
They have 2 gigantic showrooms just full of monster trucks, cars, apparel companies. It's just a big, gigantic show. They have a large arena where they race 4-wheelers and dirt bikes. They have another area where they race go-karts and another area where they race quarter midgets. And then another area where they do battle bots or battle robots.
Dang.
Yeah, it's an event. If you ever get to travel up here, go to Motorama, man.
Hey, bro, when you sent me the link today, first thing I did, because it's so far out, I went in the calendar and I blocked that weekend out because I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't go to the Chili Bowl, that race is on my schedule.
Yep.
No doubt. And it's a cash race. I mean, it's not huge, but for a mud boss, cash races are rare. And I think it's, I don't know, $100, $150 or something to win.
Well, as soon as I found out about it today, I shot a whole bunch of texts out to a bunch of guys I know. Actually, you were going to be one of them.
Yeah.
See if we can get together a group of guys to go there.
Yeah. I hope they know what they're getting into, because I mean that time of year, all the people around here are itching to dirt race, loose dirt especially. I hope they got enough time blocked out for all the people that's going to show up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Motorama, that's happening. That's exciting. A-Main carrying Custom Works, man, that can only help everything, Next thing I wanted to talk about, and these next 2 things kind of go hand in hand, but big news for me, because I'm a huge AKA fan, was when Mark Pavidis was let go by AKA. Did you follow that story at all?
I did not follow the story. I did hear about it, though.
Okay. Well, I guess probably when AKA was founded, I was out of the hobby at that point, but I knew enough that, to me, Pavidis was kind of the face of AKA. I mean, I knew Losi and Joel Johnson, were part of it, but I had always just assumed that, Pavidis had to be a part owner in it. And then to see him come out and say, that he was let go and that he wasn't a part owner, man, I was kind of shocked. And I got to be honest, Tim, I'm a little nervous about AKA with what we've seen the past year. Because for anybody who doesn't run dirt oval, the AKA rebar, man, is kind of like the standard spec tire for at least sprint cars. And it's been a struggle. I mean, it's been a bad struggle to get tires, and everybody's, griped because, everybody's still sticking with that as a spec tire, and, hey, we can't get it. And, it's a mess. And then when I look at what they're putting out for product, they're not innovating anything.
Yeah, no, they're not.
I mean, you mentioned those inversions, and really, what has AKA done? Unfortunately,
AKA is a manufacturer that I love AKA tires. It's just they're very hard to get a hold of.
Well, yeah, I mean, for my tracks around here, like the Impact, that's my go-to tire, man. I mean, I've always got 3 or 4 sets mounted up in the bag, ready to go. And then if I am at a track that requires a bar, well, then I go straight to the rebar. I do have some pro lines that are for just experimenting, really. I mean, what is it? Positron or Electron or something? I've got a couple sets of those. But yeah, I mean, AKA, man, that's my tire company. And, as much as they've been struggling to get product out, and then to see this and then not see them really innovating or diversifying. Because, I mean, look at Proline and J Concepts, man, they make everything.
Yeah, they pump out a new tire every month, just about.
Oh yeah, and then like on my BBE Sprint, half the stuff on it's J Concepts. Shock caps and turnbuckles, and I mean, my car is decked out in J Concept stuff.
I think other than the shock bodies, I think everything is, and shock shafts, I think everything's J Concepts on my shocks.
Right, and I mean, meanwhile, AKA has just been struggling to supply tires. I don't know, man. I hope, maybe somebody big could come in if they are hurting and snatch them up and get them steered in the right direction. I don't know. I hope they stay around. I love their stuff. So that rolls me into something. A buddy of mine, I'm not going to say his name just because I don't know if he wants this public, but a buddy of mine is building a track around us, and he's taking his time, and he's really trying to do it right. I got to give him hats off, and this isn't he's not trying to do it out of animosity or he's mad at another track or anything else. He just got a location that logistically for us would make sense. He's far enough away from some tracks, but he's kind of like close enough to other markets. And I'm supporting this guy, and we've been talking. I do dirt work for a living, and we're talking about the level of traction for the track and what can he do to get good traction, consistent traction without having to spend a ton of money on really nice clay, because in our area we don't have really nice clay. We'd have to go really far away to get it. So his concern is tire wear, right? Like, he doesn't want to get this track so grippy and so abrasive that we're just out there shredding tires. So Tim, you've with your off-road experience and now your dirt oval experience, like, do you have like a limit where you're like, you know what? I've burned up 3 sets of tires tonight. That's too much. I'm not coming back,
I've never really run on a track where I burn up a tire that fast. I mean, I did run some whole shots at Ultimate one time. It was that kind of dusty, and I just burned them off. Like, there was nothing.
Right.
There was absolutely nothing left of them within like 2 runs.
Okay.
But out there, Bart style tires, they last a while. They last a long while. I ran my Electrons pretty much all season, so let's just say 12 races.
Okay.
I mean, and the outside front was just about bald in the center. So I just moved it to the inside and ran it halfway through the day this past Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then I just it was completely shot, so I put a handlebar on the inside.
Okay.
And just switched out just that tire. I was running a single Electron on the front right, a handlebar on the front left, and 2 Positrons in the back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hey, look, don't give your speed secrets of mismatched tires on the front, man, because either guys are going to be stealing it and trying it, or they're going to, the tire snobs will be like, you can't run mismatched tires on the front.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, Tim, for me, man, I have smoked some tires, but I know when I've smoked tires 9 times out of 10, it's my own fault.
Yep.
Because I'm like, oh, you know what? If this soft is working, well, then a super soft has got to be good for another 10th.
Paying attention to track temperatures is where that comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
When to go from ultra soft to soft, and from soft to, medium compound, or like an M3 as opposed to an M4.
Right.
It's all timing.
Yeah.
Timing is a big thing.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've found myself doing is some nights or days when the track just doesn't have the traction that I want it to have. And I'm just, I'm like, I wish this track had more traction today, more bite. And I know that my car has wheel spin because it's just not putting it down. It's not loose, but it'll still spin the rears. And instead of driving it, that I know it'll spin and break out, I'll still just lay into it and I'll burn the tires off that way. So I think using your head and not driving like me, I don't think tire wear, man, is a huge issue, at least around here. I gotta say, I don't know out in the Midwest, man. I've watched the videos of their races. I just watched the Boogeyman the other night, and oh my gosh, those guys have traction out there. Woo! Did you see any of that stuff?
I've been watching a little bit of high bite stuff here and there, trying to determine whether I want to take the trip out to the Chili Bowl or not.
No, I got you.
And so whether I want to spend the money on all the tires that I need and how many they go through.
Right.
That's pretty much what I've been trying to figure out. But yeah, you're definitely right, though. Those guys have. I think the most traction I've ever raced on was, I think I told you about this, was Rail Yard Hobbies in Elverson, PA, before they closed.
Okay.
He had a premium facility. I don't know. You never probably made it there, but it was an indoor off-road A-scale track.
Okay.
It was supposed to be A-scale. It really was more like 10 scale. And it was red clay, like they use up at Grandview. And really high traction. And it was climate controlled and had misters that he ran at night.
Wow.
So, I mean, on a buggy, you were running Panther slicks, and you'd whip into a corner, and it would just flip right over.
Yeah.
I mean, getting it as low as you could without it doing chassis slap every time you landed.
Right.
It was insane. Many guys, we it was basically like driving Indy cars.
Yeah.
It was the most traction I've ever seen.
Yeah, man. I watched the Boogeyman mains the other night, and I don't think they were quite on that level, but man, they had traction. And I think it was the late model race. I think it was a late model. It had to have been one. Most times watching like an RC race, it isn't overly exciting. Well, let's just be honest. I mean, unless you got a horse in the race, it's not that exciting. The cars never look as fast on film as they do when you're driving. But man, that late model main, I mean, it was exciting. I was glued, and I was like, okay, all right, you boys got something going on out there. Speaking of that, did you catch any of the results? I guess it would have been probably 2 weeks ago from High Side Hobbies. They had a sprint car Nats out there.
I did, but I do not remember who won and who was where. I just briefly saw it.
Oh, this is going to be terrible, and this is going to, man, I'm probably going to lose some listeners over this, but unfortunately now that far removed, the only person I remember now is Tebow. He got second in the sprint main. But man, they paid $1,000 to win that race.
Wow.
Now, Tim, let me put that in context for you, right? Let me put that in 1-to-1 cars here. So we got a big race going on this weekend here outside of my house, 20 minutes. And 2-day race, big block modifieds, small block modifieds, total purse for all the classes, all the ins and outs is $80,000. Total purse. Now that's for, whoever finishes last up through first and this, that, and the other. But anyway, they run a class there. It's like a spec class. It's called crate modifieds. And it's the same modifieds as the big blocks, but it's a crate motor and you can't touch it and this, that, and the other. But anyway, to get into that, even if you went in used, and I'm not talking, best of the best, I'm just talking middle of the road here. By the time you got your car, your motor, and a trailer to get it there and enough tires to get through the night, you couldn't even think about doing that for under, let's just go low ball. We're going to say under 20,000. That class that night pays $1,000 to win.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, granted, big block modified pays, I think, $5,000 to win. But when you go up to big block modified to have a legitimate racing operation, $100,000 is a start. You know what I'm saying?
I believe it.
Yeah. And so, I've told the people that the guy drives for my dad, or used to drive, he just retired this year. I said, man, $2,500 at the top would put you everything: car, tires, charger, radio. I mean, and I'm talking best of the best, and you could go out and run for $1,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up to me, man. I don't know how them boys had $1,000 payout, but hats off to them, man. Are you going to go run that next year?
Yeah, right?
Come on, man. You can wheel beside Tebow.
No, Tebow's a legend.
Yeah, man. And that dude, I think he had to start in a B main.
Yeah, I wheeled next to Dustin Evans.
Oh.
One time. Yep. That's the closest I've come to running with a professional driver.
And how'd you do?
Horrible. Horrible.
Well, next time, man. Look, I'm gonna get you racing with Tebow, and you're gonna show him. You're gonna put that late model down, and Tebow's gonna go, "Dang, I'm sorry."
He's gonna go, "What is that?"
You're gonna tell him, "Hey, man, this is a rear bumper. That's what you're gonna be seeing tonight, right?" Yeah. So I think that's all my news and noteworthy stuff, man. You got anything going on, Tim?
No. My life is very simple.
Oh, all
I
right.
go to work, I come home, watch kids, and on the weekends I race. That's about it.
Hey, man. All right, dude. I know right now my life is just, work is getting crazy busy for me, and I'm sitting here trying to debate what I'm going to do for this winter. I've got a carpet track that's like 40 minutes from my house, but man, I'm not a carpet fan. I'm not a fan. It's not for me. I'm too lazy for it, I think, because your car has to be perfect,
Yeah.
I had a guy took my mud boss last year, took it home with him. He was the top guy. Took it home and set it up and brought it back to me, and he starts going through it all. And he massaged everything on that car. And I was like, man, how much time did you put into this? He's like, I had like 4.5 hours. And I'm like, you do that weekly to your carpet car? And he's like, yeah, you got to. Like, if you even have just a bearing starting to go, you're going to notice it on carpet. I'm going, man, dang, I don't know if I got it in me to compete at that level. You know what I mean? Not just for a club night.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Some things have changed in my life. There's a chance I can make it to the Chili Bowl. Dude, if I could just go out and not finish last in the last main, I'd be happy, right? Like, I'm sure somebody's got a break, I can't finish last, right? So if I could not go and not finish last, I'd be happy. So I'm thinking about doing that. I think I might actually kind of just relax back on the RC so much. I've got a 63 Ford F100 I've been working on for a couple of years, and this is terrible. I finally got the motor back for it. It's a 347 stroker. I got it mocked up in the truck 2.5 months ago and not touched it since. It's terrible.
Yeah, that is horrible. A beautiful truck like that.
Dude, it's been fun, man. It's all laid out. It's on airbags, notched rear end, Mustang 2 front, satin black, 4-inch white walls. I mean, she's a cool truck, but yeah, man, I've just been so busy with work and RC and family, man. We went to vacation last week, went to Great Wolf Lodge, and it's tough, man. These guys I see that are traveling all the time, whew, I don't know how they do it.
Huh.
We're going to find out this winter, though, man. Come on, man. We got to ride. We got to do some traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been fighting with the whole chili bowl thing. I've been fighting with it a lot. It's right after the holidays, and I got a
Yeah.
pretty good sized family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the opportunity is there to go. I have been given an invitation to ride down, and the hotel's actually already booked, but I'm just not sure I'm going to be able to do it. If
Hey,
I don't
man.
do that, I am definitely doing Motorama.
Yeah, well, look, I think we need to get some of these nice people we've met in the Oklahoma Midwest area, man, to like help us out, right? You know, we need a sponsor me, a GoFundMe, get Tim and Alfie to the Chili Bowl 2000 and oh crap, it's 18, right? Yeah, 2018. That's boom. It's done, man. We're gonna make it happen. And well, look, man. Let's take a quick break and let's get somebody on here and talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about because I'm sounding awful foolish right now. We'll be back. Welcome back. I hope you loved that elevator music. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep at that point in time. We are joined with a man I think that in some areas of the United States is kind of almost like an urban legend. I see his shirts everywhere. I see his stickers on cars. We're joined with Eric from Evolution Racing Concepts. Did I get that correct?
You nailed it. Good job.
All right, man. That's awesome. So how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm doing really well. How are you guys?
Good, good.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me on, by the way. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, so Evolution Racing Concepts, right? You chassis manufacturer? Is that a good way to describe it?
You know, we build conversions for RC cars. That's probably 75% of our business these days. We started out just building bodies for SC mods.
Okay.
But the chassis thing has kind of taken off and done well for us.
So I see, and I'm going to jump around a lot tonight. I'm sorry, man. I've had too much coffee, but the big thing that caught my attention for ERC was low-C conversions. Like in this day and time, you know, it's like everything in dirt oval has been associated. And then I started just seeing this like campaign, and I don't even think you were the one driving it. It was, I guess, guys running your stuff, and they're like, you know, hashtag ERC FTW, you know, ERC for the win, and it's like low-C stuff. So, like, what is your flagship? Is it the low-C stuff, or you know, you doing everything?
You know, we kind of do everything, but the low-C guys are super hardcore low-C guys. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want anything else. They want to run a low-C, and we saw an opportunity there, and so we started building a few kits. We did based off of the 22 3.0 10 scale buggy.
All right.
And so we built a sprint car, and we had been building kits based on the Associated B6, and I don't have any issue with that car. It's a great kit. But in my opinion, the low-C kit is just a nicer kit. And it's, you know, they have the 4.0 out now that we're messing around with, but we're still stuck with the 3.0. And it's just a nicer kit. It works every bit as well. We just like the kit, the assembly, the fit and finish. We just prefer it, honestly, over the Associated kit.
Right.
There are some things with the low-C kit that you don't get with the Associated. Some of the screws have a lock nut on the end of them, where in the Associated kit they just screw into plastic and things like that. And so it's a durability thing, as well as we just prefer the kit.
Gotcha. So do you race as well?
I do race,
Okay.
and that's kind of what got me started with ERC, I was racing RC cars and running SC mod primarily, and a guy named Tim Davis from Wichita Falls, Texas, about 75 miles from here, started noticing that I was winning locally quite a bit, and he wanted me to start running his bodies. So he sponsored me, and I started running his bodies, and I ran it at the Chili Bowl in 2015.
Okay.
And shortly after that, he had a personal issue come up and asked me if I would be interested in buying his business. And so I had some things going on at the time, so it was a good opportunity and a good fit for me. I partnered up with a buddy of mine named Danny Struss, and we took that over.
Okay.
Danny started a master's program, so he didn't have the time to dedicate to it, and so I bought Danny out and kind of been the ERC guy ever since.
Okay.
But I mean, I have a small team of guys that I sponsor.
Okay.
And, the number one requisite to be on the team is you got to be able to outrun me. I'm the slowest guy on the team. So I'm like the gatekeeper. If you can't outrun me, you might as well not even send me an email. But
so where do you live?
I live in Duncan, Oklahoma.
Okay. So you got a track close by?
I have Lawton RC Raceway,
Okay.
which is my home track. It's about 30 minutes away. And, we spend a lot of time over there.
So
That's usually where we test stuff. People don't know that we're testing stuff, and we throw it out on the track most of the time. But
okay, so what you're telling me then, the number one requisite is to be able to outrun you. So if I jump and come out to Oklahoma tomorrow, and I can outrun you, right? I'm going to be an ERC team guy. Is that how this works?
well, it's not quite that easy. Because honestly, there's lots of guys that outrun me.
I know. I'm just messing with you, man.
We look at obviously performance because this is competition.
Sure.
Everybody's racing RC cars for a different reason. Maybe we can't afford a big car, or
Right.
Whatever. Maybe we just dig RC cars. But it is competition. It's not a parade.
Yeah.
So we want to win.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's something that we look at.
Yeah.
And then we don't want people that are looked at negatively in the hobby. So,
Yeah.
if you act like a complete idiot every time that you go to the track, the odds of you being on my team are not very good.
Right.
I've been very, very fortunate with the guys that I've been associated with. Ron Richardson, one of the fastest guys in the nation, was the first guy that ever had any kind of faith in what I was doing. And he runs my stuff, and he just does an amazing job for us. He wins all over the place. Trent Jenkins has been, he ran for us for about a year, and he won the RC Chili Bowl for us. Got our first win in the Chili Bowl.
Nice.
In our Midwest mod car. Logan Alt ran with us for about a year. Got the pay dirt win in 2016. Jeff Dodd ran with us, helped us out a lot as far as in the south part of here. He races a kart now that we help sponsor.
Okay.
And then like last weekend, Shane Wheeler up in Missouri, one of the biggest races of the year at the Boogeyman, he takes our Midwest mod up there and pulls out the win.
Yeah.
So I've just been really, really blessed with not only good guys, but with great racers.
Yeah, man, they're getting the results. I watched, I think it was Shane that actually, I think somebody was using his phone or something and had the races on Facebook Live, and I was watching them, and my gosh, that track looked amazing.
Yeah, I have never been to Willard,
Okay.
and I'd planned to go, and I had some things come up, but man, there's no low line up there. You run the high line, and it's hammer down, and
Yeah.
it just looks like fun racing.
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say it was a late model, and it might have been Shane, but they were running it so high that right in the apex of the corner, they were almost kissing the wall, the outside wall, every time. And, and dude, it was just, it was so different from us hugging the low line around here that I was like, I would love to try that.
I don't know that I have the nerve to run that line. I mean, I'm kind of a one-trick pony. I'm on the pipe all the time,
Right.
and I don't know that I have the cojones to get up there and hammer down an inch from the wall.
Right.
But Shane was up there getting it, and that was his first time out with the late model.
Okay.
We just got that put together, and like I said, first time out, he did really well with it. His sprint car was on point. He qualified in the A,
Mhm.
and I believe he qualified second. And he had an incident with a car pretty early on.
Yeah. Yep.
And broke. Man, we were really excited to see how that was going to turn out.
Yeah, I watched that one too. I think Max ended up winning that one.
Max is no joke.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
We had another car in that race. There's a guy named Chad Knight from up north that was in that race as well.
Okay.
And I believe there was 8 cars in that race. And, I think Chad finished 4th. Chad was in the A in the Midwest mod also.
Uh-huh.
So, if a guy that's from nowhere, Oklahoma, can build a car, and you go to some of the biggest races of the year and 25% of the A mains of my cars, man, that's pretty cool.
Man.
Impressive.
Yeah, when you're facing, the big boys, Custom Works, I mean, major distribution and, major backing, man, that's no joke to run like that. So,
and I'm not an engineer or anything like that. I'm probably just too dumb to quit when it doesn't work like it's supposed to. So, I build this stuff in my garage.
Okay.
I've been. My dad taught me how to run a CNC machine when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
So I'm 49 today. I'm an old guy that's been running a machine forever, and I like playing with it. So,
okay,
it's pretty neat to get out in the garage and do something creative.
Now, so do you do this on the side?
Yes,
okay.
I am a full-time student.
Oh.
49. Check this out. I'm going to graduate in December with my bachelor's degree in business management. It only took me 31 years to get that degree. I started college in 1986. But I was a manager for an oil and gas company.
Okay.
And my entire division got shut down in February of 2015.
Ooh.
So I made the decision, a conscious decision, to not go look for work, but to get my degree. I'm very, very blessed that my wife has a great job, and so we've been able to get through it. So it's been a unique journey, but I wanted that piece of paper.
Yeah.
So it's really been a blessing to be able to do that.
Do you feel odd surrounded by all these 20-somethings in college?
It is kind of weird.
Okay.
But when the hard questions come as you're sitting in class, those 20-somethings literally turn around and wait for you to answer. Because, they don't. I'm not saying that they're not smart, because they are. They just don't have the life experience and
sure,
yeah,
that kind of stuff that an older guy has.
Oh yeah, well, it's kind of amusing. I'm 40. Well, I'm getting ready to turn 40, but when I was in college, my father-in-law went back to college at the same time, and so he was 50, right, 50 or 51. And so that was 20 years ago. And he went back to college for IT stuff. And, this was before the big tech boom. And he stood out so much, but all of because he and I had like 2 classes together or something. And he was almost like a mentor. And it was cool to see that they were there getting their education, but they also realized that life experience was worth a lot,
Oh, yeah. I salute guys that do that. It's easily the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. I don't know why a business major has to take calculus, but I did. And I'm sitting in the calculus class, and the professor says, you guys remember this from geometry? And I raised my hand and said, look, I took geometry in 1985. I don't remember anything from that.
Right.
You know, I made it through. It wasn't fun, but
Hey, man,
we did it.
you accomplished it, man. And hey, I get that. Get that piece of paper, man. It'll mean something, especially at this
Yes, sir.
point. Just to jump back real quick, you were talking about Shane and his late model. So for you guys out there, are your late models like buggy based or SC based?
The late models we run are buggy based.
Okay.
And what's kind of strange about it is there may be one track in a 4-hour radius of us that runs 10 scale late model. We never run 10 scale late model.
Okay.
But the RC Chili Bowl runs 10 scale late model.
Right.
So at this time of year, they've dropped the 8 scale late model class.
Yep.
And so this year, we're seeing an uptick in the number of guys that are building 10 scale late models. And we have the Nightmare on Dirt coming up this Saturday at Lawton RC Raceway, and which is a great race, by the way. If you get an opportunity to come, you really should. It'll be a pretty big race. There'll be folks from all over come.
Okay.
But they are going to run 10 scale late models this weekend. So we're kind of getting an opportunity to start getting ready for the Chili Bowl, which is in January.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, out here, we're kind of on the East Coast, we're kind of a mutt because some tracks run SC based late models and some run buggy based late models. Tim's track in Pennsylvania runs buggy based, so he's running a BBE late model conversion. And my track runs SC, and I hate SC. Sorry, because I'm going to make some people mad. I don't hate SC chassis, guys. I don't hate them. I prefer buggy based. That's just my preference. Perhaps it's because all my SC stuff is slash based. If I ever ran a good setup, SC5M or equivalent, I might totally change my opinion. But as it is today, I prefer buggy. And I've begged my track owner, come on, man, let's go buggy based, right? Because you can buy a Custom Works kit or all the conversions.
Right.
But, no such luck yet. But Tim with his BBE, he's been cleaning house at his track in Pennsylvania. I mean, he's got that thing figured out. I think I like the late model class, man. I like the open wheel sprint, but the late models, you can rub a lot of fenders in it.
Ed doesn't even have those available yet.
Ooh, whoops, sorry, Ed.
Yeah, the Switchblades, they're not out yet, but there's three of them.
really like the way late models look on the track. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Don't tell anybody. But I have never, ever in my life, this is like a drinking game, isn't it? I have never, ever been to a full-size dirt oval track.
For real?
Really?
Ever.
I was to my very first one out here in Pennsylvania, Grandview Speedway, and my friend Zach Cox and his dad are huge into dirt oval. And this is my first year. I'm an off-road guy at heart. I've been doing it for 20 years, and this is the first time that I switched to dirt oval this year. And they said, you need to go to a full-size track. Well, they had Tony Stewart, everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
Was racing at this track. So they took me to go see him. Honda was there and a whole bunch of big-name racers. Rico Abreu.
Mm-hmm.
And it was absolutely awesome. You are missing out.
I'm going to tell you my Tony Stewart story. So if you got a minute.
Oh, yeah, man.
So we're at the RC Chili Bowl in 2016.
Okay.
And, Tony's there running the big show, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I went. But he shows up, he's the Custom Works guy.
Yep.
So he shows up at the RC Chili Bowl. And he happens to be there when 8-scale late models are running, which is my favorite class, although I don't build anything for them. I just think they're a blast.
Right.
And, 4-wheel drive, 3S power, just get it. And I was running an off night at the time, and I had a pillow ball locked up, and I didn't realize that.
Mm.
And so the car was just all kinds of stupid. And Tony's in turn 4 in the announcers. I would call it 4. Maybe it's 2. Anyway, he's the announcer's booth is there, and he's up there with Scotty Ernst, and they're Look, and so Tony's watching the race, and I go into that corner. I wiped out the entire field with my 8-scale late model in front of Tony Stewart. It was awesome.
Yeah. Hey, man, you left an impression, right?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah, I mean, when ERC starts outselling Custom Works, you can go, there you go, Tony. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
okay, you're a Midwest guy. I
Yes.
know a little bit, but RC Dirt Oval is huge out there. From everything I can see, man, it's. I would call it the hotbed. It's the pinnacle. You got the Chili Bowl and the Boogeyman, and I mean, just race after
Man,
race,
we're
big
really,
races.
really blessed in this area. If you like that kind of stuff, I'm in Southwest Oklahoma,
Okay.
and within 4 hours of me, there's at least 6 or 7 tracks
Okay.
Wow.
and nice facilities.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon on a race night to get 60 or 70 entries at these tracks.
Okay.
It's not uncommon.
So, do you have many full size tracks out there?
I don't know. I've never been to one.
Okay.
There's one in Lawton. There's an I-44 speedway on the south side of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I know there are several in the Dallas area,
Okay.
and and I know that just from conversation
Yeah.
with the guys that actually go.
Gotcha. So here we're a hotbed for full size cars.
Oh yeah, we are.
I mean, it's. I think we're behind on the RC boom a little bit. We don't quite have the track infrastructure you guys have. We're getting the racers because Tim's track on a Sunday, just a normal show, they'll have 80 to 100 cars.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean, and his track just opened this year.
Yeah, this is our first year.
So it's been mind blowing to see that going on. But I mean, I've got 2 full size tracks within 30 minutes of my house, and they're through Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York and
Ohio.
Oh yeah. I mean, full size. That's where I cut my teeth. And well, I mean, here you go. You want a terrible story? My family is so involved in full size racing. I think I was conceived probably in a camper in Daytona, and I learned to walk at every East Coast dirt track. And I mean, my dad's owned a car, man, most of his life. I mean, we've had cars that have ran Syracuse Super Dirt Week. I mean, just that's what I know. But the money and the danger aspect of it, man. I got kids and I own my own business, and I can't break a back or whatever.
Right.
And keep all that going. So it's all RC for me, man. And I just love it. We're getting so down a rabbit hole, but I remember as an 8-year-old kid, this would have been early 80s. I was given some of what I started with in Dirt Oval, which were Gold Pan RC10s, and we ran Bowlinks also. But my first kit was like a monster truck type thing. I think it was called Big Brute or something like that. It was bright yellow, and you had to build the kits, and I was 8 years old, and I built that thing, all by myself, and I ran it. And the first time I ran it, I was hooked. I was like, this is amazing. I just built this thing with my own hands, and history ever since, man.
Wow.
Okay. I recently saw you were pushing some Traxxas conversions.
That's where we started making chassis. The Proline Pro 2 and the Slash are basically interchangeable.
Right.
And I like the challenge of taking basically a basher platform and making it fast. So we did some things that really helped that car. And it is a fantastic loose dirt car,
Okay.
and we are still we've just released our Rockstar O, which has the suspension and battery inline in the center, but the chassis plate has some offset to it, and we've thrown a weight slider out on the left side.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's an additional tuning aid to make it act more like an offset car.
Gotcha.
And we're having really, really good luck with that car. We do some high bite testing with one of my guys from Georgia. I don't know if you've heard of him, Scooter Allison.
Yeah, I heard the name.
Scooter does really, really well for us. And anytime we have an idea about something high bite, we throw it at Scooter, because we don't have a lot of high bite racing here. It's not loose dirt like it used to be,
Right.
4 or 5 years ago, but it's not like true high bite racing that much.
Oh yeah. We got a high bite track. It's closer to Tim than to me, but I mean it's smooth glass, just sticky clay. I mean it is high bite, and it's I mean it's for us, because it's been around so long and it's such a nice facility. When they do a sprint car Nats, and they do a February freeze, I think it's called. And I'm not a high bite guy. It's not for me. But for those guys, I mean, it's like the Chili Bowl, from what I understand.
Right.
I mean, it's a big deal.
I would like to try that sometime.
Gotcha.
But it's just not something that we get to see around here.
Right. So hopefully you can answer this question, because I never took the time to look at it. We were talking in one of the previous episodes about your conversions and the mid-motor option.
Right.
Can you run a censored motor in that setup?
Absolutely.
You can. You just reverse it?
Yep.
Okay.
Most speed controls have the option for you to reverse motor direction.
Okay.
And if you're running a Traxxas, that's what you have to have in a speed control that'll do that.
Okay.
So I run mostly Tekin,
Okay.
and most of the hobby wings have that option.
Okay.
But some of the lower end hobby wings don't, like the Just Stock and that stuff.
Right.
And we've ran into that. I also make a Midwest mod that's Bandit based.
Okay.
And so we've ran into that a couple of times with guys converting their Bandit to that and then not having a speed control that'll reverse motor direction.
Gotcha. Okay, because I knew at some point I had been looking into this, and I had seen something where guys were like, well, you need to use the VXL brushless system because you can run it backwards, but you can't do censored. I don't have a mid-motor, so I didn't dig into it enough to really.
Well, if you're running something slash based, and you have any kind of, I would say a mid-level traction track to a high bite track, then you need a mid-motor conversion.
Right.
It frees the car up so much.
Well, and that's my complaint with. See, we run out here our big class, and what's kind of really pushing our RC boom is a class called Salvus Mud Boss. And it's spec class. You take a slash, you put a modified body on it, and you run it. I mean, that's basically it. You can't change anything.
Right.
The car by itself pushes like a dump truck. I mean, it pushes. And the point of the class is it's a driver's class. It's not supposed to be getting these, super dialed in setups. I get all that. But what has happened is a lot of guys were like, well, we got slashes now, let's throw a late model body on it. And then the rules get thrown out the window and you can start modifying stuff. And I'm like, well, man, my Sprint is mid-motor. Everything has gone mid-motor. If I could take a slash and make it mid-motor, it would have to help it. But I was concerned, if I could use my brushless setups in it, because Tim and I both are huge Tekin guys, so you've answered that question. I might have to look into one of those. Yeah,
it's really simple. That SC late model is what Scooter and those guys run.
Okay,
and they're allowed to run the big offset with the battery on the side and
Right.
all that stuff, which we're not allowed to run
Right.
in our part of the world.
Right.
So it's a little different animal.
Yeah.
But he runs a mid-motor slash, and man, he does very, very well with it. Very well. The great thing about a slash, and I'm not dogging any of those other conversions. Shoot, I make an associated based SC mod conversion.
Right.
But the transmission, anytime the traction comes up, I don't care what race you go to, the associated guys are falling out all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Transmission just won't hold up.
Gotcha. So a lot of your stuff out there, are you still running like, standard censored stuff, or is like 4-pole the big thing now? Because I've seen that, and nobody around here runs 4-pole.
It is almost exclusively 4-pole. There are very few guys that race SC based things in our region that don't run 4-pole motors.
Okay.
Those cars are so heavy.
Yeah.
And it's tough on a 2-pole motor to haul around a 5.5 pound truck,
Okay.
So most everybody runs anywhere from a Hobbywing 4000 up to that Tekin 5100
Right.
Pro 2
Right.
is fairly popular around here. It just depends on track size, and we run all different. We have probably 140 foot run line at the Lawton Indoor Track to well over 200 feet in several of the tracks around here.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think the big difference, not having been out your way, that I've seen at least from videos, your guys' traction is just way better than what we have on the East Coast. I mean, we're not loose dirt of what I would call loose dirt of the 80s when it was real loamy and soft. I mean, we're hard packed, but we don't have. If indoor is high bite and we're loose dirt, I'd call you guys medium bite, medium grip.
Okay.
And I mean, I think that's part of the reason out here, even in our sprints and everything else, the biggest classes you'll ever see usually are our biggest motors you'll see is a 13.5. And most classes are actually spec'd at a 17.5. And yeah, and I just for a joke really went and visited a 5th scale track. Well, my sprint, and it was monster, man. It was 330 or 40 foot run line. So I threw a 6.5 in my sprint, and that was a good sized motor for that track. And I brought it back to my local track, which is like 195 foot run line, and there was no hooking it up, none.
Wow.
And
we have some of the absolute best sprint car drivers in the country. In our region, we have Nathan Dean and Ron Richardson and Bob Light, and you can go on and on.
Right.
There's just an elite level sprint car guy every track you go to, and those guys will run 6.5s, 5.5s, and they are just, it's like the wheels never spin.
Mm-hmm.
They are just super hooked up, and between the combination of super soft tires, and they have the tire dope figured out.
Oh yeah.
And all of those combinations, not to mention that, my trigger finger is like an on-off switch, and those guys can actually feather the throttle and make those cars work, and it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah. Well, and that's before we brought you on, Tim and I are talking, and we're so debating about trying to make the Chili Bowl this year. And
man, you should do it.
See, and we had Matt Perrier on last week or a couple weeks ago, and oh yeah, dude, fantastic guy. And we got chatting when we were done, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can make it. And Matt was like, dude, no, you have to make it. And like, if there's anything at all that like I can do to help get you here, you just let me know. And I was joking with Tim earlier. I was like, dude, I want to go to the Chili Bowl, and as long as I don't finish last in the last main, like, you know what I mean? Like, somebody has to break. I'm counting on that, right?
I'm like I kid all the time, but I'll I'll do hashtag lap traffic racing or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And my goal when I go to the Chili Bowl is to finish in the top half. If I'm in the top half, man, I'm pumped.
Right. Well,
I've
see,
made the A the last 2 years in the 8 scale late models, but they've done away with that now.
Yeah.
So I'm out to lunch. I'm gonna have to find a miracle somewhere. Me and Jesus got to have a conversation.
there you go. Well, yeah, hey, man, I get it. You know, for me, when I do a lot of traveling up and down the East Coast, you know, my goal is always to make the A. Like if I'm even just last in the A, it was a great day, you know, because we got good drivers and guys that have set up just dialed. You know, but Chili Bowl, man, I mean, it's different soils, you know, and the big thing for us, we'd be going from running 17.5s to open. And that's a big difference.
There are some spec classes there that may be more in your comfort zone. The Midwest Mod class is a spec class, you know, 10.5 Blinky. The Wingless Sprint class is 13.5 Blinky.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And those classes you might be more comfortable in. The main thing about the Chili Bowl is there are so many entries.
Yep.
And that program runs all day. And you really have to be in tune to the track. It all depends on where you are after they do track maintenance, and they periodically till the track, repack it, and that kind of stuff. So if you're in heat 1 after the track maintenance, the track's going to be super heavy. You're going to have sawdust and cow crap and God knows what all over your car. It's going to be super heavy, and then the track, you really have to you have to be able to chase the track. And we've had folks come there that are used to the track never changing, coming from a high bite environment or something like that. And what you get's what you get. And they've been completely out to lunch, not being able to chase the track. And that's the most important thing to be able to put your car on the track, regardless of track condition, knowing that you've hit the setup.
Yeah.
Because it changes so much throughout the day.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It'll go from super heavy to dry slick to high bite in the span of 2 hours, 3 hours.
Well, and
there's 35, 40 heats. You know,
right. All right. Well, wasn't part of the, I don't want to say excuse, but part of the reason given for dropping 8 scale late model was the way it tore the track up, and they're hoping to have more consistent track this year?
Man, that's just the lamest thing ever. I'm serious. And I'm going to go to bat for the 8 scale guys right now, because that debate has been raging in our part of the world for a while about that. And here's the lowdown on that. The 8 scales are rough on the track.
Yeah.
There's no doubt they get body rub, and you know, they bang around and they're heavy and they get upside down and they'll chunk the track up. But they always run the 8 scales as the last races before they do track maintenance.
Right.
So it has no bearing on the rest of the field.
Right.
None. Because the track's going to be completely tilled up, and it's going to be a new track when the sprint cars go back out there.
Yeah.
Or the SE mods or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's just an excuse somebody put out there.
Yeah.
To say that's why we're not bringing 8 scale back.
Right. Well,
and it's just not legit.
Yeah. And I still want to, I want to make it out, you know, regardless. I've even considered just coming out to interview people and not even really race, you know, just do podcast type stuff. But
you got to race.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's it. I'm
if you're going to be there, you better have a car on the track.
Well, and see, I haven't even told Tim this yet. My secret plan is, you know, we're buttering up all you Midwest guys. So when we can come out, we're stealing setups. You know what I mean? That's the whole plan.
Hey, Matt already said get there.
Yeah.
And he would hook this up.
I tell you what, Matt and Mike, they're super nice guys. They're really, really great for the sport. They run a very nice facility that, you know, that the club runs up there at Adams Creek. They run a good race program. But I tell you what, when you get on the track with those guys, you better have your stuff together, because both of those dudes are fast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, when just on those guys and Matt especially, I've had the brainstorm of doing this podcast for a long time. and I was putting out feelers to like basically anybody that would listen to me and go, hey, do you think this is a good idea? I mean, obviously I could be working on an RC car, I could be playing Xbox right now or whatever, but you think this is something that is viable. And Matt was one of the first guys, man, that came back and was just like excited and like, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic idea. I can't believe anybody hasn't thought of it before. You need to do this. You know what I mean? Right. And like, even still, man, I mean, he just, along the way of getting everything rolling, I'd send him an ideas and he'd be giving me great, honest feedback and just encouraging me the whole time. And then when we finally did have him on, and it's kind of crazy, we should have ended up just letting it all record, because when we got off the air, man, I mean, he was basically like, dude, whatever it is, come to the Chili Bowl, man, and we'll make it happen. And yeah, hats off to that guy. He's a class act.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I put out a post on Facebook, and for anybody listening, real simple, facebook.com/RC Dirt Oval. That's our page. Doesn't get any easier than that. But I put out a question earlier, and let me find it real quick to see if anybody would have any questions for you.
Oh,
yeah, man.
This is might be where we run it into a bridge abutment.
No. So, gentleman named Scott Johnson. This doesn't sound like a loaded question, Eric, so I think this is legit. Okay. He says, how did Eric end up making conversions for both the TLR22 and AEB6, and which does he prefer for what conditions and why?
So why did I do it? Because I just saw a need for, everybody makes associated stuff, so that's where I started too. But I saw like a small niche of those hardcore Losi guys.
Right.
And like I said, once I built the first one, I was like, man, this is just a nicer kit. So personally, my sprint car is the Losi.
Okay.
That's the long and short of it. As far as conditions, the Losi performs every bit as well as the Associated in loose dirt.
Okay.
When the traction comes up, I prefer the Losi.
Now, are your Losi conversions or your personal one, are they lay down or stand up transmission or
stand up?
Okay.
We haven't put the lay down in a Losi sprint car.
Okay.
And most guys around here, just because we seriously don't get to that high bite level,
right?
Most guys don't run a lay down transmission in their sprint car.
Gotcha.
Most all of us run a lay down transmission in our Midwest mods.
Okay.
And I don't know the reason why. That's just what we started doing, and those cars are so hooked up that we just haven't changed it.
Gotcha.
Well, the Associated cars that I make are able to run both the lay down and the stand up.
Right.
I have only made the Losi for the stand up transmission. I haven't, and it's not a big deal to do. I just haven't done it to lay down.
Well, I think Tim, you run stand up, right?
Yeah, I run stand up in both my late model and my.
Okay.
But Russell Williams runs lay down in his sprint.
He did. His old sprint.
Yeah, his old sprint. Once the sun would go down and moisture would come up and it would get high bite, his sprint could not be touched. Period.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he was he actually drives for Ed, and he come out with that lay down car, and he put in hours of work trying to get it, and what was he was trying it during the daytime when the track didn't have a ton of traction, and he was struggling with it. But man, when the sun went down and traction came up, that car was on rails.
Yeah, when he was setting it all up, I ran it a couple times because I would meet him over there to test and tune. And the track that we run at Ultimate is a loose dirt, but once it gets a groove in it, it really gets a blue groove in it. And as soon as the sun goes down a little bit, like on a Wednesday night, just for an off night race, it immediately turns to high bite.
Oh wow.
It changes so much. I mean, you literally are running whole shots all the way around, and then by the end of the night, you're running rebars or electrons or positrons. I mean, something that's high bite.
Wow.
Yeah, he's because my BB Sprint is stand up as well, and man, he had me scratching my head, going, "Ooh, I need to go ahead and convert this on over to the laydown now." And
go ahead.
No, it's crazy because it almost seemed like we'll see better next year when we can get more weeks in, but it almost seemed like you're going to need a stand-up daytime car and a nighttime laydown car. As bad as that sounds, but proof's in the pudding, man. Here. Yeah.
So do the stand-up cars get really tight when the track grooves up?
Yes, they do. Mine personally does. I have I ran second in points for the entire season. I don't know. We had probably 35 or 40 sprints through the season, and mine would change as the day went on. It would get tighter as it grooved up. It wasn't too much to change it, just loosen it up a little bit and put a bar style tire on it, but they definitely do tighten up.
Right. That's what we found out is with the stand-up transmission, when it rarely goes high bite around here, legitimately high bite, the cars get tight.
Right. Is that the same on the Losi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the nature of the stand-up, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, there you go, man. It's time to break that Losi laydown out.
You're probably right. I've got to get my hands on a 4.0.
Right.
I feel like I'm kind of letting the Losi guys down right now by not going to there, but I do so many different ones.
Yeah.
That it's hard to tear away.
Right.
I'm a one-man band that builds cars in his garage.
Right.
So it takes me a little bit to develop something new.
Right.
And right now we're working on our sprint program. I would like it to be better. I'm pretty proud that we were the first guys to put out a B6 based car. We were running it in August or September of last year.
Wow.
Almost immediately after it came out.
Wow, okay.
I was ready. I didn't want to build a B5 base car.
Okay.
And that was the first car that we built. And there were some other guys that build cars that spent a lot of time at the Chili Bowl last year looking my car over. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not rocket surgery, this deal.
Right.
And yeah, I'm pretty proud that we got the first one out there, and the car's really good. The car's competitive, but we think it can be better. So I'm working with one of the absolute hot rods in sprint car racing to make my car better.
Gotcha.
And it takes time,
Sure. So
that's why I haven't jumped off into the 4.0 yet.
Gotcha. Do you basically do everything made to order, or do you keep some inventory on hand, or?
My lead time stays about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I throw that word "about" out there.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's just not precise. Some weeks are better than others, and quite honestly, it depends on what I have going on in school. This is something I do on the side, and if I have finals or whatever, that's my primary concern.
Right.
But it stays about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that's a good number for me. I know some guys, it's like blood in the water, they occasionally have cars available and they'll throw them up on their website and they're gone in 5 minutes. I don't know how that works. And
Right.
some guys have some inventory, and I just don't. I've in the last year and a half, I haven't been able to get my waiting time down to 0.
Right. Right.
And there's worse problems to have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you make your own rear arms, or do you
I do not.
Okay.
And please don't tell Sean Sanders that I said this. We use the Plan B arm.
Yeah, they're good,
Sean,
man.
Sean makes a great product, and that's what most of the guys use. Even we use the associated arms on the Losies.
Okay.
You have to do a very minor modification to the outer hinge pin area,
Right.
and they work great. But yeah, don't tell Sean I said that.
Well, I know for the longest time, all of Ed's stuff was shipping with Plan B arms. I mean,
Right.
I've got Plan B arms. They're just, they do what they're supposed to do. They're made well. And I mean, why invest the time in, machining them? And when somebody's already got it dialed.
When he sent me my sprint car, I got the directions and stuff. I'm going through the parts bags and stuff like that. And I was like, these aren't the right arms. That's when he had developed his own arms.
Oh, okay.
Finally has his own set of rear arms. So that's what I have on mine.
I like some of the things they've done with the low profile hardware and that kind of stuff to get it out of the way of the axle.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're putting a little thought in. It's a good deal.
Yeah. I think, I don't want to keep you up all night, man. I think my final question, and this is a very personal, selfish question. I'm trying to grow the sprint car class around me, my personal track, and everybody around me is in love with Traxxas. So, do you make a sprint conversion for the Bandit?
I do not.
Okay.
Yet.
Oh. Okay.
I do make a Midwest mod.
Right.
And we've done pretty well with it. The car works really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't. It's another one of those things that's on my list.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten there yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just a thing. I personally don't get it. They love the sprints. Oh, I want one so bad. I want one so bad. And then, we start talking of, what they cost. And my first thing every time now, I've learned this. I'm like, hey, watch used pages, pick you up a, used whatever for, pick up a slider for $250, $300 and be happy. Right.
Right.
Because as soon as I start going, well, to buy a new one, you're, $5, $6, by the time you buy the kit and everything else. And then, you're going to burn up $1,000 when it's all said and done. They're like, oh my gosh. But I've seen these same guys turn right around and buy an SC based car used, but that's really decked out. And they'll spend $600-$700. And I'm going,
oh yeah.
Okay, you'll spend it on an SC base, but you won't on a Sprint. And they're like, oh man, if there was a way to get a Traxxas, if I could take a Bandit, because I've got 10 Bandits sitting at home, I would do it. It's an excuse, but anyway, I've had a ton of people ask me like, oh, is there a Bandit conversion? I don't know.
That's what I like about that Losi car too. It's fairly current technology. It's not a 20-year-old technology like a Bandit,
right?
And man, you can find those things all day long for $150.
Yeah.
A nice roller.
Yeah.
And you can be in a sprint car. You're going to spend $120 on body, cage, and wings.
Right.
You're going to spend, my chassis conversions of $135. So you're going to be $500 into it.
Yeah.
But man, they're nice cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for me, it is, it's knowing, guys that run associated cars. It's knowing parts availability for associated products around me, is why I'm diehard associated. If Losi support was big around here, I'd probably have no problem running a Losi. I've got a crazy idea. Shouldn't even probably say this publicly, but I've been talking to a guy that's starting to design and build chassis, and I'm like, man, I've got a crazy dream. I want an X-ray conversion. I don't know why, just to be different, because I am that guy. I want different stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, but I can't get parts for X-ray around here. Nobody sells X-ray stuff.
I get hit up at least a couple of times a month by somebody wanting a conversion for something.
Right.
And I get it. Maybe they have 10 of those cars laying around and $1 bajillion in parts. I understand that.
Right.
I really wish Losi's parts availability was better. You can go to basically any hobby shop anywhere around and get associated stuff, but you need a part for your Losi. Well, I don't have it, but I can get it for you. It's going to be 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. Well, man, that's all I had. Tim, you got anything for Eric?
No, I don't.
All right.
I've covered a lot.
Yeah, man, it's been
Guys,
good.
I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you pushing my product and helping me get the word out.
Absolutely,
and if
man.
I can help you guys with anything, you let me know.
I'll do it, man. Before we go, Eric, man, you got anybody you need to thank, or sponsors, or just people who's helped you out, or?
Well, I talked about my drivers earlier, and those guys sell cars for me, because what we do, very, very little advertising. It's all word of mouth.
Sure.
So Ron Richardson and Scooter Allison and Shane Wheeler and his son Daytona, and there's just all of those drivers really make my car look good, because most of those guys could run anything they want.
Sure.
They're at that level, and the fact that they choose to run my car, man, I appreciate that. Those guys really make me look good.
Right. Well, and I mean, man, just to touch on that, it was one of the main reasons I wanted to start this. I mean, look, man, even the guys at Custom Works, nobody in Dirt Oval is getting rich. I mean, and nobody in RC really, for that matter, but especially in Dirt Oval. You guys, you and Sean and Ed and crap, I can't think of the guy at AFX, but
Phil.
Yeah, Phil. None of you guys have the margins for advertising. I mean, you really don't even have the margins, to have, like on team racers, Right. So I wanted to give, a platform. I wanted to break down the walls of you guys being in the Midwest. And, I've been getting a bunch of hits from, the West Coast. And that's what I'm hoping to bring us all a little bit closer together, because, hey, look, man, you guys make good products. Ed makes good products. Sean makes good products. I mean, it's not about, who's better, what's better. Because look, man, in a good driver's hand, Tim and I have talked a ton about Jared Tebow. You could put a Traxxas in Tebow's hand, and that brother is going to run. I mean, so.
We talk like that about Nathan Dean. Nathan's kind of a legend around here. When he shows up, everybody's like, "Oh, dang, we're running for second." But we talk all the time about he could go down to Radio Shack, pick up a car, and take that dude to the front.
Right.
There's just they are that good.
Right.
And when you have guys at that level that want to run your product, man, you have to be appreciative. You got to be humble about that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to be that way. I mean, it's a competition. I want to win.
Sure.
Everybody does. I want my products to be out front. But at the same time, when you do win, you need to win with some class. And, kind of be appreciative, because those guys could. And I don't. My team guys, I threw my fingers up in the air and made the hash marks. My team guys, I don't do a contract.
Right.
I'm from Oklahoma. Look me in the eye, shake my hand, we're good.
Right.
Yep.
And that's how I do it. And I've been burned by that a couple times, but I'm not going to stop that. That's just that's just, I'm old school and that's how I roll. And man, when Mike Patton and the champ Darren Pendleton and those guys come and say, hey man, I like what you got going. I want to run your product. Man, it makes you feel good. You know what I mean?
No doubt, man. Well, look, Eric, it has been an absolute pleasure, man. You're a wealth of knowledge, and hopefully, as we start closing in wintertime and get closer to the Chili Bowl, hopefully we can get you back on and hear what you got, prepped for that. And other than that, man, everybody, thanks again for listening. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/RC Dirt Oval. We're on all your major podcast providers, iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. Just search for RC Dirt Oval. And thanks again. That's a wrap.